Hey, Most Amazing Top 10 family, I'm your host, Jade Arena, and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. North Korea is in the news big time right now. The possible death of Kim Jong-un has been the biggest thing that everyone has been talking about since the coronavirus. That is still happening, but I guess this is kind of overtaking that. With all the talk about the country, all of us over here at Most Amazing Top 10 have been thinking about what else is going on over in North Korea. Like, what kind of mythical creatures and monsters have been created in that country besides that dictatorship, of course. If this was a list of real life monsters, that would be number one, 100%. But we are going to stick with the supernatural in today's list of top 10 scary creatures from North Korea. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also, stick around for the whole list because I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts, which you guys love so much. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. Without taking any longer, let's get into this list. At number 10, we have Colima. It's creatures like this that make it clear that for a long time, humans have wanted to fly. As long as we've been able to see something in the sky, we've wanted to do that too. There have been depictions of this type of creature throughout several different other mythologies, like the Pegasus, but Colima is unique to East Asian culture, depicted throughout Asia and showing up in ancient China as well as Korea. Colima is a winged horse a man would ride, and oh god, would that be sweet. I mean, we still talk about that kind of stuff today. We're all like, hey, when are we gonna get flying cars? Back then, they were probably like, the gods promised us a flying horse, and all we got was famine instead. This stinks. Colima was traditionally used as a symbol of war, with the leader of an army riding a flying horse swiftly into battle to destroy his enemies. At number 9, we have Pulgasari. Monster movies are great, and this one is based on a North Korean dark fantasy monster known as Pulgasari. The movie came out in 1985, and the star of the movie is a massive Godzilla-like monster that devours metal to become more powerful. He's like that fire monster from Spider-Man Far From Home, although that movie had way cooler special effects. The way that the creature was created is a poor blacksmith makes a little figure that looks exactly like the monster, who at this point in the story does not exist. Then the blacksmith is attacked and killed. With his dying breath, he wishes that the toy becomes an actual beast so it can protect the rebel forces and lead them into a free world. And just like that, you have a massive monster that is leading a revolution. That is pretty cool. Sounds a little far-fetched, but I am into it. I'll see if I can find it on Netflix. It's for sure not on Netflix. At number 8, we have Dokeabi. These guys are very strange. They can shapeshift, so it's a little hard to pinpoint exactly what they look like, but the closest thing I could relate them to is like a troll or a goblin. They are akin to trickster gods as they love to mess with people. They like to make your life worse for their own enjoyment. Here's something very weird about them. They like to wrestle people. You know that classic story of like a troll under a bridge and then they make you solve a riddle so you can pass for free, or they make you pay or something like that? Well, this dude is different. If you come on this dude's bridge or his path, he's gonna be like, you gotta wrestle me shirtless style. It's like, dude, chill, this is weird, just let me walk. Like, I don't know why you want to touch me. And here's another interesting tidbit about them. Most of them have the surname Kim. Now, what other goblin-y troll-like creature do we know that has the surname Kim, huh? At number 7, we have the Eyeless Woman. Anytime you have a long stretch of road that has its fair share of accidents, it's easy for people to say that there's some sort of scary monster that is causing it. Yeah, it's not because people don't drive safely and they crash into things. Not at all. Well, this highway runs through North Korea, and it's said to be covered with a constant fog and have a ton of accidents. Well, you at home are probably thinking, well, that makes sense. People are crashing because the fog is hard to see through and people make mistakes while driving. Well, that's not what the people driving on the road think. A lot of people think that it's actually the work of an evil spirit known as the Eyeless Woman. She uses her dark powers to make people crash in the fog, and then when they do so, she will come and find them and then pluck their eyes from their head. If you fall victim to her, the last thing you will see is the dark pits that sit in her head. Whoa. At number 6, we have a Grecian. What happens after you die? Well, no one knows for real. Some people think that they know, but I'm in the camp of shrugging my shoulders and waiting until it all goes black to find out. Maybe it's gonna be super cool and there's gonna be like a bunch of water slides or something. Or maybe you just have to like sit in a room for a really long time and just read the same book over and over again. That would be boring. But there is some Korean folklore that suggests you can become a Grecian. This is basically a Korean ghost. These are formed when someone bites the dust and they're not ready to go. Maybe they had to tell someone something, or for an even better reason, revenge. Something very interesting about this supernatural being is that the more time they spend on Earth, the stronger they become, which actually makes you probably not want to move on to the afterlife. You can just stay here as a ghost for as long as you want and get super swole and become king of the ghosts. Number 5 is Piete. This creature is very popular not only in North Korean folklore, but all throughout Eastern Asia, mainly in China. They always seem to be the same thing, a massive dog-like beast with huge horns on its head and massive claws. They're always seen as protectors of whatever you put them in front of. That's why you often see sculptures of these creatures in front of Capitol buildings or banks, and it makes sense. If you have this massive dog-like beast that's sitting in front of your business, no one's going to mess around. That being said, these things would be terrible to cuddle. They're supposed to be covered in a thick hide of scales that a sword can't pierce through, which defeats the purpose of having a massive dog creature to hang out with. Why would I want that if I can't snuggle the whole thing? I just want to snuggle it. This is not fair. It's not fair. At number 4, we have the evil eye. This one isn't like the old school thing where someone would look at you weird and then you would think you're going to be cursed for the rest of your life or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. This is the story of a girl who had an eye transplant. She was blind in one eye and she wanted to get this thing patched up, no pun intended. And then when she got home from her surgery, she noticed something strange. Everywhere she looked, if she looked in the mirror, any sort of reflective surface, it seemed that the eye was staring back at her. But not in the way where you just like look at yourself in the mirror. It was like someone else was looking back at her through the eye. This eventually drove her insane and she took her own life. The story is that the eye was given to her from a serial killer whose ghost was linked to the eye and was tormenting her day in and day out. For number 3, we have Imianjo. You know Harvey Birdman, attorney at law? If you don't, you should go watch that whole cartoon right now and have your soul tainted because that show is super weird. But this thing is kind of like that. It's a creature that's half man, half bird. It has a bird's body and big old wings and a human face and arm. Now, what does the symbol of this bird man mean? Well, it's actually very good. It's said that this thing is supposed to symbolize longevity. If you see the Mienjo Birdman, you're going to live a long, prosperous life. Unlike if you see Harvey Birdman, because it's probably going to taint your childhood. You won't even know who you are anymore. At number 2, we have the Kaku. The story of the Kaku has shifted and changed so many times, people aren't sure if it's just a crazy serial killer or if it's something darker attached to it, like a Pennywise situation. Something that looks like a person but really is a monster. The story of the Kaku is that he or it will follow children after they finish school. He waits for those that don't go straight home, like the ones that go to an arcade, or maybe they went to go cause a little bit of trouble with their friends. He waits until they are in a secluded area so he can call out to them, Kaku, Kaku. Then the kids turn to see who is calling them, and then with an axe or knife, or in some stories he even uses a hook, he will chop the kids into little bits. Some people say that he takes the people he kills into the sewer so he can carve them up and eat them. This is where people think that it might be some sort of demon eating young children to keep it living. Maybe their life force is what keeps him going. And for the number 1 spot, we have Kamijo. It doesn't matter what culture you look back at, there's always some story in the folklore of a succubus type creature that will try to seduce you and then kill you. Which kind of tells me no matter where you go back in time, people had a hard time keeping it in their pants. People just want to be free, man. Free the nipple and whatnot, you know what I'm saying. But back to my point, Kamijo is a fox that might be immortal or might be able to live for 1,000 years. Things get lost in translation a little bit. But this fox has a very special power. It can transform into a sexy lady, and then it will use its powers to seduce a young man. Ooh. And then when the two of them are alone and the guy thinks he's about to be the luckiest man in the world, she kills him and she eats his heart. Now that's a huge bummer. Kamijo takes you out praying mantis style. Alright everyone, that has been our list, and as promised, I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. I pick new pets every day, so if you don't get picked one day, you can message back another day. I usually pick to message last, and if it takes me a little while to get back to you, I am very sorry. And without taking any longer, to start off, we have this amazing good boy Max, who is loving his ball so much right now. Then we have Paisley, who is sunbathing so hard. Look at how warm she is. Then we have Lucy, who's perched up like a ninja. Look at that. Right after that, we have Zelda, who's relaxing on that couch. She is loving that couch, I can tell. And to close it out, we have Buster, who is the best floppy face of all time. I love how squishy he is. He's so squishy. All right, everyone, that has been our list. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I've been your host, Jade Arena, and be careful for some foxes that are going to seduce you. Ooh, is that seductive? No. Bye.